How's everybody doing? It's PR, and I'm back this time with the Super Bowl 59 wrap up video that I said I was going to make. Uh, 3 weeks too late, but you know what I say, better late than never. Um, Gonna kind of like give my reaction to the Super Bowl victory by the Philadelphia Eagles. Let me just say that this Super Bowl hit way different than the first one. Like the first Super Bowl that the Eagles won, mind you, that team, like they won the Super Bowl and they were the best team that season, but they don't at all match in any bit how good that the Super Bowl 59 Philadelphia Eagles were. Like if the losing Super Bowl 57 Eagles played against the Super Bowl 52 winning Eagles, the Super Bowl 57 Eagles just whomp them. Doesn't matter about the field condition. They just destroy them. That 2017 season, like while it's excellent because the Eagles won their first Lombardi, wasn't really even that good of a season. And of course, it all culminated in the fact that it was conference championship Sunday, and you had Tom Brady, Blake Bortles, Nick Foles, and Case Keenum, and you're looking at that situation and you're like, Tom Brady's definitely winning this Super Bowl because there's no way that Case Keenum is that good and Blake Bortles is a turnover machine and Nick Foles, he's a journeyman. That's not happening. So, and of course, that Super Bowl ends with like, Eagles are up by 8. Tom Brady has to throw the ball deep, and you're like, oh, if he completes this pass, then they probably tie it up, and we go to overtime, and maybe we lose again. Oh no, right? And my wife has a video of me kind of like doing the incomplete pass and reacting to that last play where Tom Brady just throws that rainbow and it's incomplete and everyone's kind of like looking around, and number 41 is looking at number 27, is looking at number 31, is looking at 27, and they're like, incomplete, the game is over. So in this Super Bowl, it wasn't anything like it. Like the game was over at halftime. It was 24 to nothing. And of course, like at halftime, I'm still like looking at my father-in-law and I'm like, this game's not over. This game's not over. Like this is Patrick Mahomes. He's like Superman. He can do anything. Like in hindsight, obviously, like I was stressing out for no reason. Like the halftime show starts and I'm like, I already hate this thing. I, I'm sure that the Kansas City Chiefs are in the locker room trying to figure out how to come back on us. Like I just want to see the game. So I felt like the whole time it was a very stressing experience, even though it was a 24 to nothing ball game. This Eagles team, is the greatest Philadelphia Eagles team, like post merger, like bar none. The number one defense, such a great defensive coordinator, two great receivers. The I would say, hot take, I would say that Saquon Barkley is the greatest offensive weapon the Eagles have ever had in their franchise's history. Like, he could retire this year and he would still be the greatest Philadelphia Eagles offensive weapon in their entire franchise's history. The season that he had was amazing. It was just ridiculous. And I feel like outside of one move, Howie Roseman put on a masterclass in free agency. Zach Bond, who knew this dude was going to go from the New Orleans Saints and be like a special teams player, like sort of like an edge outside linebacker, to coming to the Eagles and being an inside an all-pro inside linebacker. Who knew that was going to happen? Like when Zach Bond came to the Eagles, I was like, who is this guy? But he turned into a superstar overnight. The way that the Eagles drafted Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean, bringing back C.J. Gardner-Johnson, the enforcer of the defense, is just ridiculous. The way that the offensive line was built, the defensive line outside of Jalen Carter and Josh Sweat really wasn't that good. But somehow they figured out a way. The Kansas City Chiefs and how they dealt with the Eagles in this Super Bowl was absolutely mind boggling. Personally, I thought that the Chiefs were good, possibly like really good. But I felt like through the season, they had a lot of lucky breaks, which gave them kind of like an inflated record. Going into that game, are you telling me that they didn't know how to stop everyone dropping back? The Eagles didn't blitz once. They didn't blitz once. And I'm pretty sure this is the first Super Bowl in NFL history where the the one team didn't even pass midfield until the end of the third quarter. I'm pretty sure it's the first Super Bowl where a white cornerback returned an interception for a touchdown in a Super Bowl. Like, what is this, 1942? The Kansas City Chiefs on defense, they really just thought if we stop Saquon Barkley, we'll stop Jalen Hurts. Which obviously I didn't watch the Pittsburgh Steelers because they tried that exact same thing to no avail. And in that game, Jalen Hurts had his best passing game of the season. And then in the Super Bowl, when they tried it, he had his best passing game the whole season in the Super Bowl and won Super Bowl MVP because the Chiefs were like, well, we're not going to let Saquon Barkley burn us, but you let Jalen Hurts burn you again. I have no idea what the Chiefs were thinking in this Super Bowl. And, by golly, I really don't care because the Eagles won yet another Lombardi. Whoop-de-doo. And, they did it with the greatest team that they've ever put together. Ever. And, the team wasn't without its season drama. Like, they had drama during the season. But I think it's really funny that now everyone's calling the Eagles this big super team when at the beginning of the season they were like, well, they've lost like 7 out of their last 9 games. Oh, they might not beat the Packers in the playoff. They might not beat the Rams in the playoffs. Sean McVay doesn't allow 100-yard rushers. Oh, the Washington Commanders, they beat the Lions. They might not beat them. This team, while really good, felt like an underdog the entire postseason. Underdogs are hungry dogs. Last thing that I need to talk about is I need to talk about the Super Bowl MVP of this Super Bowl, of this season, Jalen Hurts. I was one of the most, not impassioned critics, but I'd say like every other year, I was very critical of Jalen Hurts. And I was one of the, I will obviously admit that when the Philadelphia Eagles drafted Jalen Hurts, I was not happy about the selection. I wasn't. Like most Eagles, like probably like 95% of the fan base, I was unhappy with the selection. And the reason why I was unhappy with the selection was because, number one, I was this huge Carson Wentz defender. I was. I would attack anybody who insulted Carson Wentz. And I think most Eagles fans did as well. But I think that the thing that I really have to mention is the fact that I never said that Jalen Hurts would be a bad player. I just thought that in my heart of hearts that the drafting of Jalen Hurts would be bad for the production of Carson Wentz. And in that sense, I was right. But I think I kind of realized through the middle of the season and how poorly Carson Wentz was playing was that I can't blame the coach anymore. I can't blame the offensive line anymore. I can't blame the receivers. I can't blame the running back. Because this guy is just making the most outrageously poor decisions that I've ever seen. And I would say after the first Cowboys game was when I really was like, okay, maybe we need to see what we have in Jalen Hurts. I had just felt like Howie Roseman was just giant muppet for even uttering that whole this is a quarterback factory. The Eagles are a quarterback factory. I didn't like that at all. I thought that was ridiculous. I thought it was embarrassing to my intelligence, an insult to my intelligence, an insult to all Eagles fans' intelligences too. That's what I thought at the time. Um, I would say that in 2021, I wanted Jalen Hurts to start. And then in 2021, I would say that my biggest issue was the fact that I was impatient. Okay, I did not have the patience. I think like some other Eagles fans too, I just didn't have the patience for the guy because his footwork was erratic. He couldn't read a defense. Um, he left the pocket too quickly. It, he just looked like a mess in 2021. And then AJ Brown comes along. And let's just say that AJ Brown is just a godsend to this team, but he's sometimes extra drama. But the connection that those two men have in life and on the field just can't be replicated. AJ runs a go route, Jalen throws a ball to him, 95% chance he's catching that. And how clutch were those two on fourth down? Just throwing the ball like that. It's just amazing, and it's ridiculous. Um, and of course, like, I got to talk about this in another video, but Jalen Hurts is not a conventional quarterback in the sense of he's going to put up like massive passing statistics, but with this Super Bowl victory, as improbable as it was when that man was drafted, it you have to congratulate the dude. You have to, just come out and say it. He did something that I did not expect him to do when he got drafted. And, while I was a Jalen Hurts critic for a long time, it was never because of his race, and it was never because of his arm strength, or it was never because I didn't think that he could do it, especially in 2022. I think he proved that he could do it. I think that just the team lost. They just got whopped in the third and fourth quarters. It was never because of his intelligence. It was never because of any of those things. But I have never been more proud to be wrong in my life. And this is my official submission of an apology to Jalen Hurts and all the people who thought that Jalen Hurts was going to be excellent the whole time. And I would say that, I'll never doubt the guy again. That's my word. I hate being wrong. I hate not being correct on things, and this was something that obviously for half the time I was incorrect. He proved me wrong. That was a great show that he put on with his arm. Of course, only making like one big mistake and two bad throws. He won the Super Bowl. He did something that all the other people claimed that he would never be able to do. And he did it. So again, this is my formal apology to Jalen Hurts. I will never be critical of you again. If you do something wrong on the field, I will ignore it because you are a Super Bowl champion and a Super Bowl MVP. That is something that I will live behind. I will stick to. And he did a great job this season. He did a great job in the playoffs. He did a great job in the Super Bowl. And he deserves praise, especially right now. All right, guys. Hope everyone has a good one. I'm out. Peace.